All right. Well, thank you guys for being here. Welcome to the January 2026 meetup for the Nashville Power BI user group. Another year. We've got some exciting things. I know Microsoft has some exciting things for Power BI. We've got a great presentation coming up in just a few minutes from Jacob, and I'm really looking forward to hearing him talk about how to optimize and manage your fabric capacity. This is actually something I just had a meeting on yesterday, so this is very timely for me, certainly. So I'm looking forward to this. In fact, we're actually going to kick it over to Jacob for just a moment, real quick. And he's got a QR code that he wants you guys to scan and submit some ideas to help him dial in the presentation. So Jacob, I'm going to let you share your screen, please, sir.
Yes, yes, and I also shared the link directly. Wait a sec. Okay, and I shared the code directly in the channel as well. My name is Jakub Banaszkiewicz. I'm a data engineer in one of Microsoft partners, APN Promise in Poland. And I really wish to talk today about the optimization of Fabric capacity usage. I will tell you about a few functionalities and that how you can manage it more efficiently. I gathered here a few of your answers about the expectations from the session. I see that Jared wrote that he is new to Fabric, so I would start from some basic introduction, like explaining what capacity actually is and how we can monitor it, how we can automate switching in on off according to the usage. I see that some of you asked about bursting, about prices for capacity units. So actually, that's how we would also mention. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. So yes, so here I have a few points. I would make it a bit shorter. I will not show all of them to just spend only like 30 minutes on all the presentation to give you an overview. And we will start with the capacity. Actually, you can consider it as compute power, which you have available to use in Fabric, which would be then used both for some backend operations and front-end operations. Through that, I mean all the interactions with the Fabric itself through your users, and of course the size of the. Oh, wait a second, I'm struggling with. Do you hear me? Okay. Okay, so of course we can scale the capacity, and I will show you some scenarios where it is useful to do it. It is important to let you know that you can have more than one capacity in Fabric and split the computation among of them. Each of them resides in a specific region. It's usually the best to choose the region which is the closest to you. Oh, sorry. And each of the workspaces which you work in are assigned to specific capacity. If you want them to have Fabric items available. Okay, so yeah, and at the beginning, I wish to mention you about the two important topics related to usage of Fabric capacity. It is bursting and smoothing, and I think they are pretty useful if you want to use the whole capacity which you have available, because in general you won't use the capacity in average the same for the whole 24 hours. Usually you use it more at the morning when the users are starting to interact with your data, and also when you schedule some jobs, especially when these jobs are bigger. They can be even bigger than the size of your capacity. So it is possible to smooth that scheduled usage through 24 hours, eliminating that need to have the bigger capacity. And yeah, and we have actually two different things. First is bursting, which provides you extra compute resources to job and queries to make your jobs more accelerated. So when instead of running specific job for a few seconds, you can do it much faster, just multiplying the capacity units which are dedicated for the specific process. And Fabric has specific sizes of capacities, as you know, probably from F2, and then F4, 8, and so on. And these capacity units, which I mentioned here, are the sizes multiplied by 30, because it is calculated according to 30 seconds time period. So when we have, for example, here 256 capacity units, it needs to be divided by 30, and we would have the size of the capacity which is usually needed for such kind of operation. And of course, that functionality is automatic, but you need to switch it on in your environment. And one of the things which I wish to mention, because it's kind of the basic of my talk today, is the FinOps. The FinOps components resolve around the financial accountability, collaboration, data analytics, automation, and governance. And it is kind of thing which is crucial for managing cloud costs effectively. So we want to monitor our resources to understand the financial consequences of that. So yeah, so that's why I wish to show you right now quickly how we can monitor our capacities. There is a dedicated metrics app which you can install in your environment. And in that app, you will see all the capacities in the tenant, where you have administration rights. And this app is still evolving. I think that this one which you see on that image is not the newest version, but the functionalities haven't changed. Here you can monitor both the compute, which we mostly talked about, but also the usage of storage. Okay, and there are like 4 main activities which utilize your capacity. The blue one are called the background, and they refer to the operations just performed in the background, which includes processes which are not directly triggered by users, like for example data refresh. Then we have the interactive type of operations, which refer to the red ones, which refer to all the interactive operations which are initiated by users. And also we have non-billable ones, but these are such ones which not interest us in that context. And also we have the capacity units, which is our current available resources. So as you can see, there are some peaks which can be smoothed, and I will tell about the smoothing later. So yeah, in the metrics app, we have also all the items which are running, with the duration and the capacity units which they consumed. And as I mentioned to you, when we have such, let's go back. When we have such peaks in the operations which are happening on the fabric, we can always smooth them. So it's smoothing. It's kind of averaging of your compute consumption over time. So such spikes like that, which we saw on the previous slide, don't block the other work which is happening on our capacity. Sorry. And the smoothing is calculated over 24 hours. So the resources which we would use right now would be borrowed from the future, but only in the next 24 hours. That's our window time. Okay, and I wish to also show you some indicator which is pretty useful to monitor in fabric capacity. It is called performance delta, and we compute it as an hourly average for the operations, and we compare them with the same operations which happen on the environment just 7 days earlier. So it's also pretty useful kind of indicator to check if our operations and our processes workloads are becoming slower or not. And the higher the value, the better is the performance. So the worst are the one with minus 25 or more, which are underlined by red. So you quickly know with which processes you are struggling currently. And of course, you can see the details, like what exactly that operation was composed of. And right now I wish to tell you about the throttling policies. So if there is throttling in our environment, it doesn't mean that the capacity would crash. But there are a few signs which let us know that the capacity is coming to their limits. There are actually three types of the warnings. The first is interactive delay. So when we have some reports with large number of items which has inefficient DAX queries, exports a lot of data to Excel, we would see a sign showing that that the report is that there would be a delay. And so that's the first sign that something might be wrong, but the environment would still be working. Another one, when this overload and throttling is bigger than 60 minutes, then we would have interactive rejection. So you won't be able to load your model. And that's something which we actually should avoid and which we shouldn't let users to see. And the last one is the background rejection. If this happen, and that's happened when throttling is more than 24 hours, the scheduled loading task will not be executed or would execute with errors. And I wish to show you something. So yeah, we have also so before that errors would appear, you would see in your metrics apps the indicators related to burn down. So if the burnout is less than 100%, then the environment would still be working, but we need to be careful with it and don't let it be 100% of burnout in the environment. So yeah, so here we have a quick summary. So actually, right now I wish to show you some tactics and some ways of managing capacities, so you don't let to happen things like I described before. And as I mentioned you, in order to calculate how big you would need to have Fabric, it's the best to start with some trial capacity or some testing capacity and check out through 1 day what would be your usage of Fabric. And as I mentioned you before, the capacity units which would be displayed in the metrics app needs to be divided by 30, so you would know the size of your required environment. So yeah, so here is a map of that SKUs. Okay, and some of you ask how much Fabric costs. So when you would search in Google for Fabric pricing, you would see the official prices. And when you figure out finally what should be your capacity, it is useful to use the reservation because then the price is reduced by 40 to around %. So yeah, so as I mentioned you before, if capacity is throttled, it doesn't mean that if the utilization is over 100%, it doesn't mean that there would be a throttling. So you need to hit the 100% of the throttling on any of the steps which I mentioned you before. Probably in most of the clients of your clients or or your environment, you probably have one capacity for all of the resources, and that's actually one of the most popular and the simplest model. So if you need to have more capacity, you usually just scale up to bigger one. You can do it manually or dynamically. There are available scripts to do it dynamically, but there's always a risk. So better to have it under control. But there are also alternative ways because, like for example, what we do with our clients, the interaction of users with the reports which are assigned to capacities is our main priority. So we usually divide capacities, separate one for the users, which like for the reports, and the separate one for the like backend operations. So they don't use that the users can access reports and they can't interact with our data. We can also separate in that way the resources, the workspaces which are dedicated for some prior users or some prior developers, which you know that their code is written in a good way and more efficient way, I would say. Something more complicated is tryout or test capacity. So if you have some new items or some new functionalities, you can always set up additional Fabric capacity on your Azure subscription and try it there. And if you see that it's acceptable, that it won't reach over the limits of your main capacity, you can then include it to the main one. So that's another tactic. Or alternatively, you can have created rescue pay-as-you-go security. Rescue pay-as-you-go capacity. So if you see in the monitoring app that any process is reaching to the throttling level, you can always switch it like temporarily to that rescue capacity. So what we found out as the main recommendations to save capacity units, first of all, it is important to invest in education so your users know how to write efficient code. Avoid data or report sprawl. So there is two type of functionalities in Fabric, which are called certified and promoted models. I really recommend you to check it out and to sign in that way the resources which are and use the discounts and just right size your capacity, checking the size in the metrics app. Another thing which I wish to show you is a capacity suspension. You can also automate it. And one of my friends in the team wrote a short summary how it can be done. Let me show you the other tab. So let me know if you see my screen. Okay, great. So here, my friend Andrew wrote a short summary how the capacity could be suspended when it's not used, and if you can do it actually in two ways. First one, the simple one, which is super easy, you can do it like in 2 minutes, is to set up just the hour when the capacity should be switched on and switched off. Alternatively, you can also, according to that instruction, set up um, like adaptive suspension of your capacity. So here you have a script which let you switch off your capacity when it's not used for more than 15 minutes. And it's really nice article which explain it. So I would paste it in the chat. I hope it would be useful for you. Okay. So yeah, so that's one of the another things which we find pretty useful. I also use the dry. I mean, in our team, we also use the dry rule. So don't repeat yourself in coding. So if you have some logic in your Python notebook in the capacity, always try to use the shared modules. So the rule is that you have just one source of truth. So any code which is shared among developers in your team, you can share it. You can certify it as well as the other items which I mentioned before. So yeah, so there is a Python model called will, which you can use to put your code in the lib, which is then easy to import. So it is always the best to start with extracting the most repeated functions, like some validation functions which you use in your code. Build the wheel and publish it to your Fabric environment. And also, I attached here the link, and I will share it with you in the chat later, which briefly describe it. So yeah, so first of all, it would let you have your environment cleaner and faster, and also it would let you easier version your changes. And that's actually all the things which I have prepared for you. I have some stickers, but unfortunately I'm unable to share them with you like physically. So yeah, so that's the end of that what I have for today of my insights.
All right. Well, Jacob, thank you very much for that. I really appreciate that. Um, so yeah, so I had um, so I noticed one thing that you did was you recommended segmenting, for example, self-service models by themselves. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about that. There was one of the slides you had. It was, I think, actually the self-service models were segmented with the test and dev, but away from other production models. I was wondering if you could talk a bit more about why you made that decision.
You mean to segment the workspaces which are dedicated for testing and production?
Yeah, so you had workspaces dedicated for self-service semantic models. And I think those you grouped into one capacity with the dev and test, but separate from like a production one capacity and production two capacity. And so I was just wondering why, why put the semantic model, the workspace is dedicated to semantic models, self-service semantic models. Why group those in with the dev and test? Or would you put them on their own standalone capacity?
Uh, yeah, got it. No, usually we try to just to separate the dev and test from production. And yeah, I mean, we with the self-service, we also noticed that when we don't have the full control over that what users do, it cues that some of them like overuse such functionalities which are really capacity consuming, like I don't know, exporting to Excel, so and so on, and they produce um, many artifacts which we don't have control over. So that's why we try to keep that self-service workspaces separately from these items which which we have certified which are on production. So because like it's hard to control what your users do in the self-service workspaces. So that's the reason. Do
Okay.
you have any like way of to control it, to limit it? But like better than separated in separate like workspace, separate capacity?
No, I think it actually makes a lot of sense. I hadn't really considered that. But yeah, I mean, I think that's it's a really good idea, separating the self-service models from by themselves. Well, so I've got a few slides that I want to go over just to sort of tell people about some things that are coming up. So I'm going to share my screen for a moment. We are also looking for speakers. If you scan that QR code, it will take you to our Sessionize page, and there you can register to talk about any topic, of course, Power BI and Fabric related, that you would like to. You can, of course, reach out to myself, Sekou Tyler, Michael Hewitt, in any way feasible, LinkedIn, email, X, whatever works for you, and get in touch with us. Let us know that you want to speak, what you want to talk about, and we would love to hear from you guys. There's a few things coming up around Nashville in the near future. So this coming Monday, actually, the data science nerds, who that is led by, among others, Charlie Apigian. Well, Charlie is also going to be the speaker for this session, and he's going to be talking about practical AI agents. So I am very excited for that one. I'm a big fan of AI and agents doing all my work for me. It might hasn't yet materialized, but with that's what I'm looking forward to. So hopefully, Charlie will have some great things for us. Also, the next morning, Glenn Acree is going to be hosting Breakfast at Fido with the Nashville Data Nerds. That's at 8:30 at Fido in Hillsborough Village. This is especially important if you're a job seeker. If you're a job seeker, there are that's a big focus of what this breakfast is around. Or if you're recruiting, hiring, or if you just want to get to know some people in the Nashville community, this is a really, really great place. They're very friendly, wonderful folks that are at this breakfast. And hey, Fido's a nice place to go for a cup of coffee. So be sure to check that one out. Also later in the month, the Nashville Data Engineering Group is hosting Mike Chapman, who is going to talk about the analytics engineering and the modern data stack. In addition to being a professor at Belmont, he's also a lead data engineer at Health Trust. And so this is going to be focusing on sort of modern and open source elements that you can use in a modern data engineering group. Also, want to point out that DataTune 2026 is actually just around the corner. It is less than 2 months away, but we still have early bird pricing available as of this morning. I'm not sure when that goes away, but it's available as of right now. You can go to DataTuneConf to purchase your tickets. The main Saturday community day is only $75 right now. I believe that'll go up to $100 after the early bird pricing goes away. And also the Friday all-day workshops are $325. That's pretty much a steal for an all-day workshop. Or hey, for just 25 bucks more, you can get the combo Friday and Saturday. So if you're in the Nashville area, this is a great conference. We hosted the last one in 2024. It was a really big success. I think a lot of people really loved the energy and the vibe that was coming out of this conference. So we're happy to bring that back this year. So I would definitely encourage you guys to check that out, at least the Saturday session, if nothing else. We've got some SQL Saturdays coming up around the area. We've got Atlanta coming up in on the 21st of March. That is actually after FabCon that week between, I believe, the 16th and the 20th. We've got them coming up later in Richmond, Houston, Jacksonville, Raleigh, and Baton Rouge. There are a number of others that are overseas as well, but those are the ones that are sort of, within a reasonable distance. If you're going to FabCon, you definitely check out the SQL Saturday Atlanta. And speaking of FabCon, and they've also sort of conjoined SequelCon with FabCon, so they're going to be happening concurrently in the same space. I think one ticket to one gets you into both, so they're sort of effectively one conference. So that's going to be at the Georgia World Congress in Congress Center in downtown Atlanta, as I say, March 16th through the 20th. So that's actually just about 2 months away as well. You can go to FabricCon for more details there. So that's actually all that I've got, and we appreciate everybody being here.